Let's quickly touch on how to get the most out of the big picture, how to get the most value from your data. So I'm just using Zag right now, our marketing data, as the guinea pig. And for setup, it's pretty simple. There's nothing really to it. Just go with our defaults. It'll be the best. It'll be the best accuracy. So use a year look back, minimum threshold for each channel. You should have conversions across every channel, but 3 is a good threshold. And then the attribution look back window. This is what impacts the last panel, the third panel. And I'll get to that as I go through the app. But just use 30 days. You'll get the best results with that. Okay, so what you're looking at, there's 3 panels: channel performance, engagement by channel, and attribution insights. And let's focus. Let's start at the top. We're using a radar chart in the top left here. What this shows you is the correlation between conversion performance and traffic. So what you're looking for is anomalies where, say, one channel might be driving a ton of traffic but getting very poor conversion rates. So that might show you where maybe you're focusing too much effort without the resultant payoff. So in this case, it's fairly uniform. We have a bit of a gap on referrals. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of referral traffic, but it's only a 2% conversion rate. So we'll look at kind of what we're doing there, and if there's anything that we are paying for or investing time and energy in, it's not really paying off that well. So whereas our direct and social channels are converting at nearly 10%. Okay, so the table below it just sort of fleshes that out in more detail. You can sort of break down your actual numbers by channel. If you have e-commerce data hooked up, you can see your attributed revenue and your average value per user. In the engagement panel, what you're looking for here is kind of an explanation as to why these channels might be producing the results above, right? So we're looking at average dwell times, bounce rates, number of page views per channel. It's basically a more consolidated view of engagement data in a single display. So it's easier than navigating around like Google Analytics, like by far. And this chart in particular here, so comparing time on site with bounce rate, it's a pretty good indicator. It's a pretty good metric. So you can see that a lower bounce rate typically correlates to a higher time on site, but not always. So there's no real anomalies I can spot in our data here, but if you see something that's way out of whack, if you have like a super high bounce rate with one channel, it might be time to look at that. So I can kind of see that organic search, we have a pretty high bounce rate, but a pretty decent dwell time. So there's probably some rankings that are irrelevant and are bouncing a bunch of traffic back. So we'll look at what's going on there at some other point. Attribution insights, and this is the big one. This is where you're going to find a lot of interesting data, a lot of interesting actionable data. So I'll go through each section. In the top left, we've got channel performance by journey stage, and then beside it, top winners and losers by journey stage. So this is more, the winners and losers is more of a summary of what you see on this graph. So what this tells us, this shows us the percentage of conversions that are caused by a channel at each journey stage. Okay, so with social network, for instance, 100% of the conversions that are impacted by social networks were also a case where the user initially discovered Zag on a social network. So that means that doesn't mean that social networks are 100% responsible for every initial discovery conversion. It just means that on that channel, 100% of the referred conversions or attributed conversions were initially discovered on that social network. Assists, what this is let's say your customer journey is like 4 or 5 clicks from discovery to completing the conversion. so buying something or whatever. This shows you what percentage of conversions that were assisted by social network, somewhere along that click path. So let's say on a 5-click conversion path, maybe there's on click number 2 or click number 3, the social network played a role. Okay, so this is important from the perspective of like, what are you doing kind of in the middle of your funnel, and is it working on social network versus organic search versus some other channel, usually ads, or in this case referrals. Okay, so there's some sites out there, guest posts or whatever, that are referring traffic to Zag, and they're not driving initial discoveries really, but they are assisting at a 70% assist rate. So that means that of the traffic that comes from our referrals, any of that traffic that converts, 70% of it is assisting some other channel. So people are probably researching Zag when they find us on Facebook ads or social channels or whatever, and something comes up on another site about Zag. They go to it, they check out the article, and then they click through from there and convert. So that's what I'm seeing with referrals. So that's a little bit, that's referral, and it's also a little bit of organic search. And then the last interaction, this tells us where someone kind of made the purchase decision or the sign up decision with Zag. What was their immediate last step before that point? And so with referrals, strangely enough, it's only 36%, even though there's a 70% assist rate. And with search, there's more last interactions from search than there are initial discoveries. So that means that people are discovering Zag wherever, then they're Googling us, and that has a higher proportion of conversions than initially discovering us with Google. So it's really important for us to rank for branded searches based on what I'm seeing here. Okay. The other channels are fairly straightforward, but the real takeaways that I'm seeing are that organic search is critical for downstream impact in a conversion path, and referrals are critical as far as people qualifying whether it's worth signing up. So we should get more content out there about us that people can find in Google and whatever. Okay. So the top winners and losers, just sort of summarize that. We've got initial discovery, our other, which is ad channels and email probably. Referrals are the lowest initial discovery. And then for assisted conversions, referrals are the highest. Social networks are the lowest, and so on. Scrolling down, this is where I think the real goal is. Okay. When we look at time to convert metrics, this is super revealing as far as what you want to be focusing on at each stage of your funnel. All right. So if we can see, for instance, that only 66% of users are converting from organic search on the same day, then it stands to reason that it's going to be a longer sales cycle if we focus on organic search, if we focus on SEO. Meanwhile, if we go to our higher volume channels, so direct, which is Facebook ads mostly, we have 77% converting on day one, and we have another, say, 18% on top of that converting across the first week and the following 3 weeks in the month. So there's a far faster sales cycle with our ads than there are with our organic search. And referrals is even more spread out. So we've got only 30% of our conversions from referral traffic happen on the same day, and then 16% sort of trickle out in the first week that follows. So it's a slower sales cycle to do, say, content marketing or guest posts, and it's a faster sales cycle to drive it with ads. So that's not to say that these aren't important. They have a huge assisting role, right? It's all part of the same story, but it shows us where to invest energy on, say, the initial discovery part of the equation versus follow up and that kind of thing. So this is the 30,000 foot view. This is why the big picture is so powerful. I recommend that you come back and check the report at least every couple of weeks. You'll see how your marketing kind of evolves, and it's a good way to make sure that you're doing the right things, that you're not overextending in one area, and not investing resources and time on something that's just a waste of time. So there you go. That's the big picture. All right, guys, we'll see you on the inside of the app.